Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Tropical Storm Isaias coverage for August 1st, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, it would really be nice if you guys did hit that subscribe button. I really cannot believe that I hit 800 subscribers already, so thank you guys so much. And we're on our way to 900 and eventually, even more exciting, the big 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as ringing the bell notifications so you will not miss my next video. Also, please do watch the whole video because this does help my channel grow significantly. So please do watch the whole video and liking and sharing this video as well. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Now, today we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Isaias, and don't let the two words tropical storm necessarily fool you, because this could re-strengthen into a hurricane. I'm pretty sure the wind gusts are exceeding hurricane force currently, but the sustained winds are 70 miles per hour, and the movement has slowed down a little bit now. As of the 5 p.m. advisory, movement has slowed to 10 miles an hour for the northwest. We still got them hurricane warnings for the Bahamas. You got hurricane warnings as well as tropical storm warnings up and down the Florida coastline. You got tropical storm warnings also for Lake Okeechobee. A tropical storm watches now from the Georgia and South Carolina coastline. All right, and expect some tropical storm watches to probably be extended up the Carolina coast and maybe towards the southern Delmarva. We'll see. We could see some tropical storm watches get issued there. Again, this is the 19th advisory of this storm, the 5 p.m. advisory. This is, so basically how the National Hurricane Center does it is usually about the 5 a.m. is the major advisory, and then 8 a.m. is an intermediate, 11 a.m. is a major update, like they change the track and everything. 2 p.m. is intermediate, and 5 is another major update. So 5 and 11 is basically the major updates, and 2 and 8 o'clock are usually the more intermediate advisories. With my update how the storm is currently, but not really going to make changes to the track. So this is one of the major updates here. This could be at the Delmarva. The storm center will be there by Tuesday afternoon, but we can start seeing impacts Tuesday morning. And that's why I'll be showing you the earliest reasonable amount of arrival time of those tropical storm force winds. So let's take a look at the track here and exactly how strong this could get or will be. All right. So as you can see, it's in the Bahamas right now. We got hurricane warnings, but I think we do currently have tropical storm warnings from Coral Springs and Boca Raton down through Miami and Miami Beach. We have hurricane warnings up from about West Palm Beach, Port St. Lucie, Melbourne, Palm Bay, and to just south of Palm Coast. Palm Coast to Jacksonville, we got tropical storm warnings. And Jacksonville on north to Savannah and, well, Charleston, we got tropical storm watches currently. Those are your latest alerts as of now. So this will get back to a hurricane, it looks like, by National Hurricane Center. This is 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Wind gust up to 90 miles an hour. Sustained winds at 75. They actually do call for landfall. It may not look like it, but I'll show you where they're calling for a Florida landfall. 2 p.m. tomorrow, still 75 mile per hour winds. This is coming very, very close to the coastline here. So that's why Floridians definitely need to be prepared, even if you live in Central Florida, like Gainesville, Orlando, definitely anywhere. Even people that are just outside the cone. All right, not talking about like the west coast of Florida. But it's central and eastern Florida, definitely need to watch out, whether you're a few miles inland, 20 miles inland, or right at the coast. Now, if you zoom in really, really closely, the black line, if I actually get rid of the watches and warnings, all right, you can see that it technically does actually move over land. Just east of Titusville, part of like the Space Coast here, it actually does move over. So they are calling for Florida landfall if you zoom in really close. All right, so I'm going to take away the wind warnings. We still do have storm surge watches out. There haven't been warnings yet. We'll be talking about the surge now. Well, Port St. Lucie, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Titusville, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, and even Palm Coast, and just east of Jacksonville, we have storm surge watches. There haven't been warnings yet because we're still a little uncertain on the track. Keep in mind, technically, even though we're pretty confident in where the storm center is going to go in terms of Florida, technically the storm center could still go right over Orlando. It could still technically go out well over the water. That's technically what the cone is still pretty wide. That's what I mean. We still got a little bit of shifting of the storm center, but overall we have a good idea where this is going to go. But as of now, it looks like it'll make landfall in South Carolina with about 60 mile an hour sustained winds, a high-end tropical storm. Winds gusting to near hurricane force, 2 o'clock in the morning on August 4th. But Honestly, I think the rainfall threat will actually be worse for the Mid-Atlantic and like parts of the Southeast, like the Carolinas. The rainfall might be worse there than it will be in Florida. All right, I'll be showing you guys that later as well. But currently, our tropical storm force winds do not quite reach Florida yet. All right, as you can see, this is your area of, inside this yellowish area is your area of 58-mile-an-hour winds plus, and outside of here is your area of 39-mile-per-hour winds plus. All right, if it was still a hurricane, it would have a little, but you can see that the tropical storm force winds go well outside the center here. And that's the kind of thing I want to stress to you guys, that Nassau is still seeing tropical storm force winds currently, and the tropical storm force winds almost reach the Florida coastline. All right. So let's take a look now at some of the wind history. As you can see, this was a hurricane indicated by the red color. We did have some hurricane force winds, but even outside of that, Florida technically hasn't quite seen tropical storm force winds yet. We could have had some wind gusts, maybe 40, 45 miles an hour, but they haven't seen it yet. But Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, even the eastern edge of Cuba has seen a little bit of tropical storm force wind activity. When we look at the arrival time, the earliest reasonable arrival time of those tropical storm force winds, let me zoom in here for you guys. South Florida looks like this evening, if not right now, over the next couple hours for you guys. North and Central Florida, I think it's going to be overnight into tomorrow morning. For the South Carolina coast, for places like Charleston, Savannah, probably Monday morning. For North Carolina, most likely Monday evening into Monday night. The Mid-Atlantic region, probably Tuesday morning. For Northeast and New England, going to be about Tuesday evening, Tuesday night. Place like Halifax, Nova Scotia, maybe overnight or early Wednesday morning, and then well into Newfoundland by Wednesday evening. But that's if you guys get tropical storm force winds. And keep in mind that the coastline of the Mid-Atlantic, our chances of tropical storm force winds have been upgraded to a near 30-35% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, where not too long ago we were about 5 to 10% chance. So chances are going up here because A, we're getting a little bit more certain on the storm's track, and B, all right, this storm is being pushed a little bit farther to the west, which does limit the wind strength a little bit, but it also brings the impacts a little bit farther inland. Because I know I did have a viewer not too long ago asking me about a place, I believe it was in central Pennsylvania, if they're going to get affected. Now that the storm's going a little, the coast shifted a little bit farther to the west, that the chances that area in central Pennsylvania could get hit, the chances are going up a little bit. So hurricane conditions and dangerous storm surge will be in the Bahamas tonight, and it's pretty much happening right now. We're expecting hurricane conditions along portions of the Florida East Coast on Sunday. Okay, tonight into Sunday. All right. We got 2 to 4 feet of surge is still in the possibility for along Florida's East Coast. All right, we got Jupiter Inlet to Ponte Vedra Beach. Okay, we can still see 2 to 4 feet of surge, especially, and it could even be a little bit worse than that, especially if the worst of the storm surge flooding comes at high tide. We'll be talking about that as well. But again, tropical storm watches on the East Coast. You can see that from about Florida to South Carolina. But additional watches and warnings will likely be issued tonight and Sunday, as Isaias is expected to move northward, over the southeast of the Mid-Atlantic coast. So don't be surprised if the Mid-Atlantic coast, by the time it arrives to New England, it's actually going to be considered what's called a post-tropical storm, where it'll have the winds of a tropical storm, but it's going to pretty much completely lose its organization. So, but for the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, you guys will still see a regular tropical storm. It's still going to be an organized tropical storm. It won't be post-tropical. It will still be fully tropical, all right, for the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. Now, looking at the rainfall, their totals actually have gone up, because before we didn't see any yellow touching Florida's East Coast. Okay, but you can see that widespread from Western Mass all the way down pretty much the 95 quarter down through South Carolina, 4 to 6 inches of rain from Isaias is likely. Okay, I don't know if it's Isaias. I call it Isaias personally because it's easier for me. You guys call it whatever you want. All right, but from Isaias here, looks like from Western Mass and Western Connecticut, Northern Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, you guys could be seeing 4 to 6 inches of rain. And these locations might see the worst of the rainfall from Isaias. Now, maybe for Florida's Space Coast here near Titusville, you guys could also see 4 to 6 inches of rain. Maybe some localized areas in any of these yellow regions could see upwards of 7 inches locally. But it looks like the Bahamas will be seeing the worst. We could see another 6 to 10, even double-digit rainfall additionally for the Bahamas. This is valid from 2 p.m. this afternoon, all right, through 8 p.m. on August 6th. So the Bahamas, you pretty much could be seeing double-digit rainfall additional, maybe an additional 6 to 10 inches of rainfall for you guys. Now, looking at the peak storm surge forecast, again, Jupiter Inlet down through North Miami Beach, 1 to 3 feet of surge. But from Jupiter Inlet up through Ponte Vedra Beach, again, that's your 2 to 4 feet of surge. Because I think we're a little bit too far outside. From Miami, also, you guys, I think it'll be re-strengthening off the Florida's East Coast potentially. And I'll be explaining why it could re-strengthen maybe even off the Southeast Coast. And let's talk about that right now. Now, if you watched my channel before, you probably know what I'm going to say as to why a hurricane or tropical storm, Isaias, could re-strengthen back into a hurricane, not just off the Florida coast, but even off the Southeast Coast. And that reason is the Gulf Stream. Now, the Gulf Stream is already a warmer spot for ocean. Is already a warmer spot regardless of the sea surface temperature anomalies, and even those are above average right now. All right, so the Gulf Stream is warm enough than the rest of the Western Atlantic by itself. Now, when you throw in maybe 1.5 degrees Celsius above average in terms of our ocean temperatures, this is going to be good for developing. But keep in mind that we do have some factors that are against us as well. So it's kind of controversial here. It's kind of like, I mean, we got some good things, we got some bad things. But look at this. Off the South and North Carolina coastline, the ocean water is about 30 degrees Celsius. Now, keep in mind, the track it looks like it's going to take right now, it's going to pretty much head in this way. So maybe if it stays a little bit farther to the east and then comes in, that would mean it'll try and trek over those 30-degree waters. But other than that, I mean, either way, it's going to be trekking over water temperatures of 29, 30 degrees. That's pretty much, it's been sitting in 30-degree waters right now. But the Gulf Stream, even though the water temperatures are the same in the Gulf Stream as they are where it is right now, the Gulf Stream, the way the current is, sometimes it can not only some conducive ocean conditions, but maybe a little bit less dry air by the Gulf Stream as well. Doesn't always happen that way, but it could. So again, looking at Isaias, we got 70 mile-an-hour winds right now. Pressure is up a little bit to 992. We got our radius of wind of 20 nautical miles, and our radius of circulation is 120 nautical miles. Now, looking at this on the satellite imagery, let me slow this down a little bit. All right, and you can see that in the recent satellite images here, you can see this huge blowing up area of convection, and that could be a sign of re-strengthening because it's right off the water, and that's where we got some really warm ocean water. So that's something to watch out for as well. We also have some blossoming convection here just south of Bahamas. Now, thank goodness that it looks like this area of convection is blossoming over water, because if it was over, say, like Nassau, it would be pretty dangerous. But that area of convection could be a sign that it's trying to battle the wind shear, and that the storm is starting to gain a little bit more strength potentially. All right, so let me slow this down for you guys, and I want to show you, all right, what it looks like on visible satellite. Because visible satellite, I really usually don't show this actually, but the visible satellite really gives you a good idea as to why we definitely are seeing some weakening of this. Now, you can see your low center, it looks pretty evident. There it is on satellite, all right? There's your low pressure right there, but notice where all the convection is starting to blossom. Almost looks 3D, it's so cool. All the convection, it kind of looks a little displaced. This kind of looks like Hurricane Douglas after it left Hawaii, right? You got all your circulation here, and then, I mean, we do have the convection pretty close to the storm center, but it's pretty much due north of the storm center. Like normally we would have, full wraparound of convection. Like we'd have convection all around the storm system, except for maybe a little bit on the western side. All right. But this definitely looks a little bit displaced because normally we would see this kind of convection wrapping all the way around the storm, and we're not seeing that. So until that's happening, and it looks like it's trying to, but this blow convection is definitely a sign that it's trying to get its act together. It's asking for a second chance, so to speak. But the wind shear not showing much mercy here because we got that west-southwesterly shear, and that's definitely what's causing our storm center to move like this and our convective area to be pushed off to the east a little bit. So looking at the ship's diagnostic message, you can see that it's going to have a little envelope, a little chance to develop. As you can see here, we do see wind shear dropping 2 p.m. on Sunday, and also wind shear dropping, this is 2 p.m. on Monday. Okay, and this is when it's going to start to impact the southeast, not just Florida, but also the Carolinas. So maybe some lower wind shear. I mean, I know 20 knots isn't the best conditions, but it's better than 50 they were predicting actually it's like 70 knots before, so it's been dropping a little bit. But if the storm can try and develop where a little opportunity where the wind shear is a little bit lower, 20, 22 knots, and our ocean water continues to stay 29 degrees Celsius, this thing does have a chance to become not only a borderline hurricane with 75-mile-an-hour winds, but maybe 80+ mile-an-hour winds. Maybe it could develop a little bit more. And one thing to also know is the storm speed. As I predicted, this thing was moving about 20 miles an hour before. It's slowed to about 10 now, so the speed is definitely slowed. It might slow a little bit more tomorrow afternoon, maybe to about 9 or so miles an hour. But once it makes landfall, this is going to speed up once again to about, the storm will be moving 25 miles an hour plus, maybe even 30. That's going to be the good thing for the Mid-Atlantic, but also keep in mind when the storm is moving this fast. Now, when you have let me actually pull up the ocean water map. When you got a storm that's moving fast over land, it's not going to weaken as much, because also the forward speed does actually increase the wind. Because keep in mind, we also got a cold front and that high that's been steering it in this direction. So the cold front and the high is what's really pushing this up the coast. Because otherwise, it would either we wouldn't have a front, it would just go this way, or we might have had a front, it came in a little earlier, we could have had a storm going towards Bermuda. But when a storm moves this fast after it makes landfall, while it does maybe reduce the rainfall a little bit, you can still see some very heavy rainfall rates. And when it moves fast over land, it doesn't give land a chance to weaken it that much. And because it's moving so fast, it's like, whoa, can't catch me. All right, even though it's actually over land. Hope that makes sense. Now, if it were to start moving a little bit slower over land, it would give the storm more time to weaken and reduce its wind speed. But since it's moving fast over land, that forward motion, kind of like a tornado here, it's going to have to increase its wind speed. Not to mention, we got a cold front coming through. We're already going to see some strong storms in the Mid-Atlantic tomorrow. Not part of Isaias, but we can still see some strong gusty storms. So our ground could be saturated before, as Isaias is arriving. So taking a look at where the storm is now. All right, it's saying the low is actually moving over one of the Bahama Islands. So I think that combined with the shear that we're already having is why it started to weaken a little bit. The low is somehow right over land, but the low is going to be moving back over water. But when it's on the water surrounding the Bahamas, that's some really warm water. Not only that, but the water's pretty still as well. And it's kind of like how the Gulf Stream water, though, is moving a little bit more rapidly. All right, so looking at the model track guidance, all the models agree. I mean, they all agree 100%. Now, one model takes a little bit farther west, but other than that, all the models are pretty much saying, hey, this is going to go right up the coast here, making landfall either northeastern corner of South Carolina, eastern North Carolina, going right up the east coast. Now, if you're like some models over here, they're bringing out over the waters off the Delmarva coast. Keep in mind, the waters off of the Delmarva coastline, off of the Delaware and Jersey coastline, are hovering near 80. All right, so that might give it a little respark of development as well. It's better than moving over land, because if the tropical storm had to choose between near 80-degree waters and land, I think it would definitely choose the second option, or the over-the-water option. Now, looking at the GEFS model tracks, some of them bring it a little bit farther west and then kind of bend it back towards the east. So this brings the impacts a little bit farther inland, but keep in mind it also weakens the storm a little bit. Now, the GEPS model tracks kind of paint a similar picture, but they're not really agreeing. I mean, even though they have the same general track, some models bring it a lot farther west than others. Some don't even have it making landfall until Cape Cod and Nantucket. So we still got a little difference in the models there, but overall you can see the general trend here. Pretty much all the models say it's heading for the Delmarva. All right. And look at the intensity guidance. A couple models bring it back to a Cat 1 briefly, but I think, at least the models think that this will be on a downtrend, down from a tropical storm down to eventually to a post-tropical storm in a few days. So now let's focus on what is this going to do for Florida. All right. Now looking at this storm system right now, all right, luckily at least for Central Florida, luckily it doesn't look like that it's going to be making much impacts in terms of the rainfall for Central Florida here. You can see that it goes right up the coast, and some areas we could see some rainfall, like along the east coast of Florida. We see maybe some generated severe thunderstorms, little pockets of supercells in Central Florida there. But other than that, it looks like Central Florida might miss the worst of the rainfall impacts with the storm system here. But the region of Florida that sticks out the most here, which is pretty much Florida Space Coast. I mean, technically you could say West Palm down there, but pretty much the Space Coast here, which is where the low could even be making landfall. That's where you can see probably the worst of your rain impacts, and that's where the National Early Weather Prediction Center gave you guys 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. So This low is going to be coming awfully close to the coastline, sort of similar to Matthew here. All right, and then eventually the low starts moving up into the southeast coast, and that's the thing that worries me. We see bands of rainfall, bands of heavy rain and wind develop before the low even makes landfall in South Carolina, so that's something to keep in mind, keep watch over as well. Now, the rainfall is going to be something, or excuse me, the wind is going to be something that we have to watch as well. So looking at the NAM model here, this is the NAM 3KM model still. You can see that the wind, all right, we're seeing some pockets of a whitish purple develop just in the northwest of the storm center, and that's your redevelopment back into a brief category 1 briefly. All right, so, and again, you know, I mean, people are talking about coronavirus too, because coronavirus ain't gonna help in terms of, you know, preparing and the shelters for Florida, because everyone's got to be socially distant. So this is gonna be tough, and that's why I know that the Weather Channel is calling it COVID cane. But still, some very strong tropical storm force winds, even well inland into Florida here. So that's something I want for you guys to know as well. Orlando, I mean, you guys are still going to be seeing some strong winds and some heavy rainfall bands. Then this moves up the coast. It briefly moves over. It moves over this area in the Gulf Stream region. That helped to give it a little restrengthening, and then it's up to southeast or up to South Carolina coast, making a landfall with 60, 65 mile per hour winds still on the South Carolina North Carolina border. Okay, in another update of the system, I'll be talking about more about the East Coast. I did want to kind of center this though more towards Florida for today's video, and looking at the total accumulated precipitation. As you can see, the worst of the rainfall will be staying offshore until it makes landfall in the Carolinas. And then, well, this only goes out till Tuesday, 2 a.m. on Tuesday. If you take it a little farther, you'll be able to see the Mid-Atlantic. So that'll be in another video. So ring the bell notification so you don't miss my next video. But luckily, the worst of the rainfall, not the wind and the surge, but the worst of the rainfall will be staying off the Florida coastline. But still, the coast of Florida from Space Coast down through West Palm, you guys can still see a couple inches of rain. And even inland, if you guys get a strong rain band, strong tropical storm or hurricane band, we can still get a quick inch of rain from that as well, so keep that in mind. So thank you guys for watching today's video. Stay tuned for another update on Hurricane Isaias. Thank you guys for watching. I am the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, catch you guys in the next video.